And I would also like to see this church avoid some of the mistakes of the past. I would like to see that. Because we carry a legacy that is not really ours as a Christian community. For example, the legacy of division and denominational antagonism. You know, that's a legacy we inherited. You know, I believe we can be a voice in trying to avoid repeating, or rather overcoming, some of these historical missteps that we took as a world church.
When you talked about the greater role of women in the church, how do you see that tied to the role of women in society, and especially in a number of countries where it's not at its highest level of what it could be?
Well, I think on certain, that's one of the things I alluded to, was the fact that on certain issues we sort of mirror trends in society as a Christian community. But what I am familiar with is that because of the trend I talked about of greater awareness within church, I think there is also a greater attempt being made to address issues in society that affect the role and status of women. And again, I think this is where I believe as a Christian community we have something to offer the rest of the world. There are situations that I'm aware of where, in fact, the Christian community at in different settings has pioneered initiatives that respond to, or rather respond to issues affecting the status and role of women in society. We can talk about issues of empowerment, for example, of widows, for example. We can talk about issues of female genital mutilation, for example. These are issues that pertain and relate to the role and status of women in society. We can talk about education of the girl child, for example, which is really become a mission for some religious communities in Africa south of the Sahara. So I believe that there's contribution being made there, even though that you could actually sometimes draw parallels between how the status and role of women in society and the status and role of women in church. I believe that there are things happening that are beginning to transform that from within the church. And I would see this as very positive developments. Go back to the...
I would like to know, we haven't talked anything about sacramental life in Africa. Certainly there's been a change, say in the last 40 years or so, the sacramental life in the United States, with issues of the penance, say for example, has nearly dropped out for a great part of the population, of the Catholic population. Along with that, the consulting, and the power of the individual conferencing for priests and laity to discuss issues, say under confession or in penance. What is the sacramental life like in Africa? Is, say, for example, penance just dropping out, or has dropped out, or never was an issue? Say, as opposed to, I imagine, marriages would be, and the celebration in the church of the marriage would be a great one, great used.
Thank you very much. I know that there are several of us in the audience who are familiar with the situation, the sacramental life that you refer to. I want to say that is one aspect of the church that is very vibrant on the continent, the sacramental life. I mean, if we perceive it in the strict sense of participation and practice of the sacraments, in a very strict sense, if we define it in a very strict sense, it's very, very vibrant. I mean, the example you point out of the sacrament of reconciliation,